The second is, I make a conscious choice. It's interesting that we don't always realize that we have to make a choice to be happy. We think that, well, life flows along and whichever way the tide turns, I'm going to be carried by the flow of the tide. If the winds move in one direction, I'll go there. If they move in another direction, I'll be carried there. But I believe that human beings have a very special capacity, and that is the ability to make choices. And whichever situation I find myself in, I can choose whether to be happy within that situation, or I can choose to be upset about it, or I can choose to change my circumstances and situation so that I can create a situation where I can be happy. And I know that that sounds a very tall order, but if you spend a little bit of time reflecting on the validity of this, you'll see that that is absolutely true. We have a choice. For example, in our relationship with each other, whatever it is you say, whatever it is you do, it's my choice as to how it is I respond to you. And my correct choice of response is then going to bring me peace of mind, inner contentment, and happiness within. And whatever it is you say and do, if I simply react to that without consciously making a choice, then of course my reaction is going to bring more reactions. And I think you all know very well the whole story of action and reaction and stronger actions and more reactions. Is there anyone who doesn't know this story? We're all very, very familiar with it. And so it's a choice I make. Whatever the situation is, whatever it is others may say or do, I choose what is going to be my response to that. All of this sounds as if it's very much head work, responsibility, making a choice, and it isn't so much work, it's more a question of awareness. Because most times it feels as if we're leading our life on such a superficial plane that we don't take time to actually think deeply about purpose, meaning, significance. All these are words that are not very fashionable. If you ask most young people, well, what is the purpose of your life? And I don't think many people have had a chance to think about it, especially if they're young. But that I can understand. But the crazy thing is when somebody is in their 30s and 40s, or even 50s, or even 60s, and you ask them, what is the purpose of your life? And they tell you, well, I've been so busy just living life, just existing, that I actually haven't had time to think about it. And so if I don't know where I'm going, what the purpose of my life is, how is it possible for me to make a conscious decision about the path that's going to actually get me there? And so tonight we're going to see how choice is also very much a part of the key to happiness. I can choose my reactions, my responses to people. I can choose my reactions and responses to situations. I was with a woman who had lung cancer, and I happened to be with her connections, and she arrived at the meditation center in London. through long distance connections. And as soon as she arrived, she was coughing a lot. And she said to me, "Please don't be worried, it's not infectious." But she just asked for some water, and then through our chat, she was sipping away at the water. And she told me that she had a choice to make. She had a choice as to whether she would feel guilty that she was being a burden on her family, or whether she was going to say that now I have the time and space to do the things that up until now I've never given myself time to. I've kept myself so busy that I haven't given my husband and my children the time that I could have given. And she said, "This is why I've come to learn meditation, because I know that meditation can help me make that choice and have the courage and the power and the faith to be able to keep that choice." Can you imagine? Here was a woman who was given just a few months to live, and I know that there are medical people here, and lung cancer, as far as I have seen in several cases, usually claims its victims within the space of months. And sure enough, I first met her last November, and by April she had departed. But the last few months, what she did was to give a lot of happiness to her family, her grown-up children and her husband, so that they could feel that the relationship that they had was something which was very special and precious. Now, this was a conscious choice she made. She could have very well said, "Well, now I'm sick, I'm going to die, and now everybody else has to care for me and look after me. I've served them the whole of my life." Well, you know the story. But she knew that she had a choice, and she chose a very beautiful, positive choice that has left very sweet memories in the hearts of those whom she's left behind. I'm talking about a very severe situation, but each day of our lives, from little decisions to big decisions, we forget that nobody is pushing us into doing anything. You know, one of the things that happens in life today is that usually it's a culture of complain and blame. You know about that? I'm sure you do. And so it's much easier to complain, much easier to blame than to take responsibility and to know that I have a choice in this situation. If really I'm not able to sort things out in the way that's comfortable for me, clarity, peace inside my own heart and my own mind mean that I'm able to look and see, well, what are the choices that I have? And I'll probably see alternatives that I'd never imagined existed before. And so I think the second key to happiness really has to be to know that I am the master of my own destiny. Do you believe that? Great. So there are many people who don't. There are many people who say, well, circumstances, or some people who say the government. But no, I am the master of my own destiny. And so that's the second key that I have if I want to choose a life of happiness.